Hi there, welcome back to Not Another Budget. I'm Nicole, and on this channel I'm attempting to cash budget my way out of debt and fix several years of financial misbehaviour. And if that's something you're interested in following along with, please don't forget to stick around and check out the other content that I have created for you on this channel. Now, first things first, you're going to notice this because my lovely regular viewers and commenters are always really good at noticing if I ever end up with kind of marks and things on my hands. I am fine. This is a burn mark. This is what happens when you are chatting in the staff room at work, not paying attention, and making a coffee and go to get what you think is the spout or the handle of the kettle, and instead you put your hand right over the spout as the steam starts to come out. So this is going to go through its healing phases. I think it looks fine, but if any of the paramedics or nurses or medical people want to tell me differently in the comments, go ahead. But that is what's going on there. So this is going to be in place for probably a couple of weeks now. Let's get that one out of the way. Secondly, this is not a Savings Challenge Sunday video, nor is it a round up the small change to put towards debt video. I don't have the small change to put towards debt, and I'm recording two videos to be released today, one of which, because I've had to pivot, because that's normally what I'd release, one of them is going to be a November week 1 budget roundup and just take you through some budget changes that have come into effect, partially because of what has obviously happened as a family and where my mind is and isn't, and what I kind of have the mental bandwidth to deal with and things that I don't. And then also it's to just bring you up to speed on kind of debt admin and debt admin that I need to do. And that's very much what this video is about. It's about why, when you are working either a debt snowball, a debt avalanche, a debt snowvalanche, which I kind of am, or any kind of debt payoff method, why keeping on top of your admin, or at least knowing what debt admin you need to do, can make your life a whole lot easier. So in terms of how I am, because I know you'll ask, because you're all genuinely lovely, so thank you so much for all your comments and condolences and well wishes for myself and the family. Yeah. Just I don't know. I can put on the mask and act very jovial, and the good news is that the lessons that I have been able to resume teaching this week, because I was back at work, nothing was picked up on by any of the kids, and the department that I was working in were like, you know, you're doing the acting thing in terms of, you know, pretending that everything's fine and inside you're a mess. Like, you're doing it really well, like it's okay. The most important thing is that, like, how you're feeling isn't translating onto the kids, which was what I was worried about. But I still don't really know what I'm feeling inside, and I don't really know emotionally which way is up, down, left, right, round about the circles. I alternate between feeling quite numb, and then equally I'll be there kind of going, and like yesterday I spent all day kind of a crumpled heap on the sofa. Everything was very heavy and exhausting and couldn't really do a lot, and yet today I've woken up completely full of beans and, you know, feel some form of like excitement to talk to you guys about this and get things going again. Yeah. So, debt admin. For those of you that are new to this, for those of you that have maybe done your debt confession, or have, if you've not recorded on YouTube, but you know what your debts are, and it's then like, what do I do now? Before you even think about which method you're going with, and you've got your list of debts, mine are all recorded. Coming into page, coming into place, coming into place, and destroying my lovely display. Okay, we'll work as best we can because I want my display back. Thank you. So I recorded all of my debts from smallest to largest. Now, I don't have, because these are all with debt agencies, I don't have the interest rates for them. That was just something that I was like, I know that I'm going to pay off smallest to largest. And then when I tweaked mine to bear in mind the fact that I've got a significantly large debt, which is, you know, 7,500 at the time of starting this list, the next smallest one is 1,330. So that obviously came into play, but I wrote all of my debts down smallest to largest. Anything that I was able to set up a minimum payment on, I recorded. You don't need, this is a printout that I designed myself. You can just create and do this on a spreadsheet or a notepad. You do not need to spend money on debt books or debt things or anything like that if you are just starting out. And I recorded them smallest to largest, and anything that I was able to get up on a minimum payment, I made a note of what that would be and when it would be starting. If I've paid it, I've made a note that I've paid it. If there's anything that I encountered, like these guys here who are saying the account was closed and paid off, but I know I haven't closed and paid these guys off, I've made a note of that. I've included it in my debt snowball, but at the minute I am not going to look at it, deal with it, address it until I have something formal come through. If it's been passed on to another debt agency and I'm waiting for them to contact me, all of the things like that you just need to maybe make a note of. If you think you have started the minimum payment for one day and the payment isn't taken, go ahead and double check, which is what I had to do here. So I made a note, check the start date for AJJB Law and OCDR, one called Debt Recovery, and that's because I was expecting their payments to be taken in September and they weren't, they were taken in October. Now, what I've been doing is going, and then I looked and went, okay, here are the minimum payments here, how can I free up a snowball, what can I work with, and then built on that basis. What I've then gone through and done, if we come to this page, is I have tracked my debt annually. So again, this is something that you can do in a notepad if you've got a ruler and pens and pencils, and you don't even need coloured pens and pencils. You don't need to spend money on this. Like, make tracking and paying off your debt as fun and as creative as it can be. If you're someone that like lives by numbers and formulas, then get an all singing all dancing spreadsheet going, which will do the calculations for you and give you your payoff dates if you find that really satisfying. If like me, you're a pens and pencils and notepad girl and you like your colours and things, go ahead and do that. The most important thing is that actually you don't get bored with your debt, because if you get bored, as I have found in the past when I've tried to do this unsuccessfully, I didn't make it engaging for me. I didn't add elements like visual trackers and colours and things, and I wasn't on it like a carb on it, as I call it. I wasn't there checking in like every week and making notes and things and thinking about how I could do it, and therefore you fall down because it's not engaging. It's more engaging to spend money and have fun and things like that than it is to actually pay the debt. So what I've done with this annual debt tracker is anything which I have confirmed and set up as I'm just making a note of that because that's come out. Anything that I've got confirmed and set up with a minimum payment, and anything which has been confirmed as still there, is all on this. Now, as and when I confirm others and I get to the next half of my debt admin, which I'll go through with you in a moment, I will add these guys in, and whatever my month starts, month 1, 2, all the way to 12, that's there. So for example, you can see that I paid off CARS in month 2, and then I coloured in everything because I won't be paying these guys anymore. They're done. Credit Spring, I paid off in month 2 as well. That's gone. AJJB Law I paid off in this month, which is month 3 for me, so that's coloured in and done. One Call Debt Recovery have had their normal payment taken, and when I do the summary of their payment, which I'll take you through in a moment, and what's going on there, they will obviously start to fill in £15, £15, £15. Lantern was paid off in month 1, so that's coloured in. Overdales are now ticking through with their monthly payments, so I need to add that one in as well because that's been taken now. And then Credit Spring are just ticking along nicely there, and that is the Credit Spring loan membership, which they charge you every time you take out a debt with them. So you have the normal debt, which was this one up here, and then there is also a annual debt membership, which I'm telling you ticking through and paying off, and then we have my guarantor down here, and then at the very bottom, just peeking through, you can see that I can total up at the end of each month how much I have paid to debt. So in the month 1, which was September, I paid £410.63, and in month 2, which was October, I paid £543.63. Now my total debt snowball amount is £271, so you can see how much extra I'm going and the impact of that here. Out of the 6 originally, and then discovering that Credit Spring was also having payments made if I was paying them £11, for example, £1 would be paying off the membership. So you can see by looking at it this way how much I'm tracking and how well I'm doing. Now, I mentioned One Call Debt Recovery. They are the next guys to work on my Snowball. Now, if you are an Excel spreadsheet person, you will have all of this worked out for you, and you'll have lots of fun with formulas and different trackings and filters and columns and arrows and things to do this. But like I've said, I'm a pens and paper type person. That level of spreadsheetness intimidates me, so I don't do that. I'm very envious though of you guys that do. So as you can see here, this is something that I drafted. I think there's a video on when I first pulled this together. I want to say maybe September, end of September, beginning of October, possibly. It's somewhere on my channel, probably not even on a playlist, because that's a level of YouTube admin that I've not got around to sorting out yet either. But you can see here where I've gone through and ticked off and actually am I ahead of where I want to be. So yes, so when I worked out my debt snowball payment based on the fact that my total amount I'd be working with was £271, you can see that I've ticked off CARS, you can see that I ticked off Credit Spring, so both of those were done in October. AJJB Law, who were down to be worked on in December and not cleared until December, have now started. So we now move to One Call Debt Recovery. And this is something I have discovered and why debt admin is important. So each company, in terms of what they want you to do when you set up a minimum debt payment, will be different. With the likes of Credit Spring, they were really, really happy for me. Like, I was able to go online, make whatever payments I wanted until I got down to a £36 balance left. So up until, so between £100 and £36, I was paying £3 here, £8 there, £15 there, and it was all fine until I hit £36. And then all I could make was either a minimum payment of £10 or pay off the whole amount. So that paused the little bits of drip feeding, and I had to wait until I had the remainder amount to pay it off in full to do it. Something similar has happened with One Call Debt Recovery, who are, is that going to stay? These guys down here. Now, last week on my little debt small change roundup, I had accumulated £8, which was going to go off and be paid towards the account. On top of the minimum payment for them, and although I've written 10, I think I've set it out for 15, so that's just brain. I can't do that with these guys. I can either pay the whole balance, or will have to completely rearrange and renegotiate the minimum payment every time I want to make a payment. So I'm going to let these guys just tick along now. I will see in January where we're up to and go from there, but I'm going to let this tick along and do its own business. The small change, therefore, because I don't have the time, and I don't have at the minute the aforementioned mental bandwidth to go through and go through every single time I want to make an extra payment, an affordability check, an expenses and income sheet, chat with an agent either over the internet or on the phone. I no. Minimum payment set up on that's affordable. We'll leave that as it. So if I go now to the top, and this is where actually you need to keep on top of your debt admin. So I know that CARS is current as a debt. It was £20. I wasn't going to do anything with it for a while. And I know that Credit Spring have got an early part payoff. This is their membership starting balance. I think it's now like 20 something pounds. They will only take a full payoff. Same to One Call Debt Recovery. They will only take the full amount paid off, or you stick to their minimum plan. Otherwise you renegotiate. So then I jump down to Close Brothers at £38.06. So what I am going to do is move the £8 payment from the small change that I'd accumulated that's still sitting in my account ready to go. I'm going to move that over to the small CARS bill of £20. Once that's paid off with the small change, I will then go and move on to Close Brothers at £38.06. Now with these guys here, Admiral, Close Brothers, Camford Law, Resolve Call, AutoNet, Admiral, DRS, I still need to go through and double check. This is probably going to be closer to Christmas time when I am off for the holidays, which is going to be a wonderful thing, or a weekend closer to Christmas, depending on my workload, because my workload is now incredibly heavy as a trainee teacher. With regards to assessed work for me, evidence bundles, PGCE assignments, and then because of the nature of my subject, design and technology, my teaching aids are quite practical and have an element of time and machinery involvement as well, which is quite different to an academic theory subject. So that is impacting on how far I can get. But the one thing I do know for sure is that these 3 are about, and because they are small, I've not been touching them. I can't do anything with this, but I can do something with CARS and Close Brothers. So what I am going to do, because again, that's a level of getting in contact, just clarifying. I think because of the amounts, they've been quite happy to sit there, but to be fair, I've not heard from these guys for quite some time. Making sure that actually, is there an online portal that I can access, etc., etc., all of that level of data admin. That won't be happening this weekend. Like I said, aforementioned workload is heavy, considering I was off on compassionate leave for a week and a half. So there's a lot for me to catch up on and do. But that is what's going to be happening next. So One Call Debt Recovery will continue to have their minimum payment taken as normal, and I will then pivot, use the small change that I'm accruing outside of the Snowball to deal with CARS and eventually Close Brothers. And accumulated, they are less than £60. But I can easily see that they are something that would get lost and forgotten about once I get deep into kind of dealing with the rest of these guys. So that is where we are with that. And yeah, I needed to print this on thicker paper. And this is where we are so far with regards to my annual debt tracker. If we go to how much I have paid off debt so far, so this is also a small, I guess, debt snowball update, maybe. 411.63 plus 543.63 plus 300. No, that's not right. Plus 297, that's better. Plus £4.70 plus 40 plus 164. Okay, so the total I've paid to debt since I started my debt snow avalanche in September is £1,464.14 so far. That's not including the £8 small change that I need to put in, and I also have not yet had the minimum payment taken for One Call Debt Recovery, plus anything else I accumulate. So at in the second week of November, this is where I'm sitting, and that is after about 10 weeks of paying off debt. So we're averaging at about £146.41 a week. That's not in reality what I'm paying in terms of the weekly breakdown, but that's so far how we're doing, and that's on a very fixed income of £2,000 a month, plus whatever I can pull in terms of YouTube income and Vinted. I'm going to talk about that in my next video coming out later this afternoon, or probably later this evening by the time it's buffered and uploaded, because I have not been on the ball with that. Understandably, it's not been my greatest priority, and it is now having a little bit of an impact in terms of the squeeze I'm feeling with regards to cash flow, and now the need to get Vinted done as well. So I will see you all very soon. I hope you have found this video useful. It's just a little bit of a debt check-in with you all, and what the debt admin update is so far, and why it's also useful for anyone else to look at in terms of why debt admin is important. Don't just write your list of debts and think that's fine. It's something you do need to add to every time you do your budget, weekly or monthly. Do a debt admin check-in as well. On that note, I'm going to see you all a little bit later, so bye bye for now, and yeah, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you very soon. Bye bye.